What is up, guys? How we doing? How we doing? We got a new subscriber last night. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support, and welcome to the team. Whether you watch all my videos or just one of them, I just appreciate your support for the day. I recommend the Trauma Dumping playlist. It has my whole life story on it. Got movie review playlists, more political rants that aren't political. Got Discord, Twitch, anything you want. Or if you just watch for that day, I appreciate you. Today we are going to be reviewing Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 2. If I seem tired and out of it, I'm sorry. I got a god-awful last night's sleep. It's been fun doing these reviews. I'm going to review each episode, I guess, on Friday morning. I watched the episode and then the podcast, so if I made a video on it, it wouldn't come out until 10 p.m. So every Friday, I will come out with a review of the Peacemaker. Yeah, Peacemaker Episode 2. We open up with Frank Grillo and John Economos 8 months in the past, and John and Frank Grillo, Jesus Christ, Rick Flag Sr. Has been promoted to head of Argus, which is the division in charge of extraterrestrial activity, and basically he has the position that Amanda Waller now had. And the first thing he asked for is the file on his son's death, and John Economos tries telling him, like, look, you know, the events that happened that day were under Amanda Waller's direct orders, and it's messy and convoluted and not as simple as it seems, and Rick Flag doesn't care. He just wants to know. And he reads everything, and they literally have every quote and every detail, which I found odd. I don't know how they would know Rick Flag Jr.'s last words and exactly how he died and everything, because they said in the suicide, you could argue that it's because of the bomb in the head that they're able to hear him, but they said while they were in the tower that they were unable to hear them. Maybe I'm overthinking it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, Rick Flag reads all the details on his son. Obviously, he's very upset, as any parent would be, which is why, like, he really, like, I've watched Creature Commando. I like Rick Flag, so I'm very interested on seeing how this goes. He orders Sasha, who I guess is his partner or assistant or whatever, to basically get everything you got on the Peacemaker, and that he wants him to be surveilled 24/7. He doesn't care about the fact that he helped Project Butterfly. He wants to take him down. And then we get the title sequence, which is actually growing on me. I do like the song. It's growing on me. The dance isn't as good, but, you know, that's just... You're never going to be able to replicate how good the first one was, but the second one is growing on me. And this season, I definitely think is reflected by the song title. It's very, so far, very sad, very grim, very, you know, it sucks to see that our you know, band of misfits saved the world, and that not only did it not amount to anything, but it had negative repercussions on their lives, and they're all miserable. After the title sequence, we cut to Peacemaker, and he's trying to hide the dead body of himself, which is so dark if you think about it. So he's killed his brother, and obviously not intentionally, on accident, and was forced to. He kills his father, and he has now killed an alternate version of himself. That has got to be, couldn't imagine how mentally taxing that would be. Anyway, he's trying to wrap his body up and hide it and stash it, but he can't. It keeps falling and whatnot. And then we go to Adebayo, who is on her way to talk to Peacemaker, but she takes a stop at her partner, or presumably her ex's house, and they get into an argument, and apparently they're not in a good place either. I'm not gonna lie, that's the one thing about season 1 that I didn't really buy into. was their chemistry, and like it was really kind of an afterthought, their relationship. But anyways, Adebayo stops in unannounced to get some hair products, and they end up getting into an argument, and they're broken up, I guess. Adebayo tries to be the bigger person and says I love you, tries getting along with her, and leaves. And she stopped in to grab some hair stuff, and she's told to not stop in anymore. And then we go to John Economos, who is surveilling Peacemaker, and we get introduced to Agent Flurry, played by Tim Meadows. I love Tim Meadows, dude. Get out of here, Dewey. We're smoking the reefer. You don't want any part of this shit. Like, him and Walk Hard is... He's funny as hell. And he's definitely mixing with the James Gunn humor well. He was sent to keep an eye on John Economos because Rick Flag doesn't trust him, and rightfully so. And he comes in, and he's just immediately a super douche and weird. And yeah, they're surveilling Peacemaker together. He starts calling Economos Ginger Cool, so now he just got rid of this nickname he didn't want, Diebeard, and now he's getting called Ginger Cool, poor guy. And the fucking sentence, man, that motherfucker looks like he caught all of the Pokemon. And then, yeah, well, I'm not fluent in Pokemon terminology. I was too busy getting my dick sucked by 2 chicks. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, whatever you say, dude. And, but, so I, like, didn't like his character at first because he was a super douche. But then, like, later in the episode, I started to like him more. He starts talking about bird blindness and that he doesn't recognize, birds from other birds. They all look the same to him. And I thought he was being a smartass, but no. Anyway, they're surveilling John, Peacemaker, and Adebayo shows up and starts talking to Peacemaker about the photo that Economos airdropped her of him opening a portal and telling him, like, look, you're being surveilled. This portal, every time you open it, it triggers Argus, and you should just hand it over. You should just tell them, hey, like, this was my dad's. I don't know what the hell it was, because they're going to try to use this as an excuse to throw you in prison. And Peacemaker doesn't see it as weird because he grew up with it. He just thinks it's normal and that it's his, and he's clearly not in a good mental place, and understandably so. And then Vigilante shows up, and yeah, that's when we get the Pokemon comment. And Adebayo leaves, and what happens next? Oh, we go to Harcourt. I think I skipped that. I think that was after the Adebayo fight. We go to Harcourt. She's in a pharmacy. She's got a black eye after her bar fight and whatnot. And the scene is so sad, honestly. She's buying things because she's hosting a party that night, and buying makeup, too, to cover up the black eye. And a clearly battered woman that has dealt with abuse comes in and, is saying to Harcourt, look, if you ever need anything, like, and assumes her situation is a domestic abuse situation. And Harcourt's like, look, I appreciate what you're saying, but that's not what this is. And then she keeps pushing, and it's like, we often are in denial about things, and then Harcourt just snaps and is like, I'm not a fucking mirror, I have my own problems, and yells at this poor woman. And, like, I understand why she's frustrated. Like, she already told her it's, not this situation, and now you're getting told you're in denial over a situation you're not even in. But this poor woman, clearly dealt with abuse, is just trying to help. And, yeah, she makes a scene in the pharmacy, yells at her, calls tall dude a beaker, which is a Muppets reference. And then to end off the scene, as she is leaving, she sees a help wanted sign, and for a brief second considers applying for the job, even though she just yelled at everybody inside. Then we get to where we enter the house with Peacemaker and Vigilante, and everybody is still naked, asleep on the ground, and Vigilante's kind of unhappy that Peacemaker didn't invite him to the orgy, and he's making comments about it passive aggressively, and Peacemaker asks him for help, and he's like, "Oh, so you'll call me for help, but you won't call me, with all these extremely hot chicks." And then we get one of the oddest lines ever. Peacemaker says, "Honestly, I was just down. It was a spur of the moment thing, and I didn't even think you were into sex." What does he say? Like, I don't like sex. It's an opportunity for me to bond with my best friend. What? Like, that's so weird, but it's so Vigilante. It makes sense. So anyway, a lot to unpack there. And yeah, they go to dismember other Peacemaker 2. We'll just call him Peacemaker 2. We go to dismember Peacemaker 2, and that entire scene is just wow. Like, think about how dark that would be, man. To not only accidentally find a alternate reality version of yourself, but accidentally kill him. Now you're dissecting his body, looking at that face the entire time. And then they incinerate it in that incinerator where that one alien incinerates his rats. And Adrian just looks like he's having the time of his life. He's getting to hang out with his best friend and dissect somebody, so awesome. Peacemaker just looks horrified the whole time, and rightfully so. And after opening the door to dissect Peacemaker, it alerts Economos and Agent Fruley, and he gets a call, Agent Fruley does, from I think Sasha, and she tells him that we don't trust Economos, don't check it out right now, we're gonna wait until they go to the party tonight, and then we're gonna get together an army, group of soldiers for you guys to enter and investigate, which is illegal, by the way. And yeah, they dispose of the body, and then they go to a party at Harcourt. She's hosting, and it's on the rooftop, and according to the podcast, which I highly recommend that you check out. If you like the show, I think it's genius that they have a podcast with the director and the actors that's an hour long, going over the episode right after the episode drops. I think that's genius. And like, if you're just now joining for season 2 and joining the podcast, I think you should go back and watch the first episode, because we're on episode 11 of the podcast, and it's kind of been cool to see the crew themselves from episode 1 to now. I mean, we've spent 11 hours with them just talking about the show at this point. So I think that's awesome. Just a genius idea. Anyway, off topic. So while they're at the party, we get Agent Fruley and the people that were sent to, invade the house. And this is where I started to like Agent Fruley, because as douchey as he is, he actually started making a lot of sense about, we need to wait a minute to make sure that they don't come back, because you never know if they have a gift. And I love the banter between, all of them about, if that's stupid, if it isn't, I think that was a good idea. He actually makes logical sense. And then he gives them all very degrading nicknames. And then his reasoning is, I'm not going to be able to remember your name, so here we are. Again, douchey, but logical. And they go in to break into the house and discover that there is, so they have this technology that's able to track foreign, I don't know, alien technology or whatever, and they can kind of see the door. But then we get the best scene of the episode, in my opinion, and Eagly screws all of them up. Like, an amazing scene of Eagly, dude, just messing everybody up, dodging bullets, and you thought the bird blindness thing was just him being smart, but no, he's literally going to shoot Eagly, and he's like, somebody help me, I can't tell how big this bird is, and I laughed way harder at that than I should have. And yeah, they all get taken out by the eagle and have to basically abandon mission because Eagly did a badass job. Then we go to the party, and the 11th Street kids are just happy to be together again, and we get a lot of deep conversations between a lot of the group. We get a deep conversation with Peacemaker and Harcourt, and Peacemaker is concerned about her and knows that she's going into bars intentionally looking for a fight. And Harcourt is probably my favorite character aside from Vigilante and Peacemaker, but like as far as like the team, I really like Harcourt. She's a badass, kick-ass female character that just never wants to let her guard down, right? Like in the conversation, she even said, even though Peacemaker's completely spot on and he's being very helpful, she still won't just let him in just a little bit, won't just let the guard down just a little bit. That she says, that's what you want me to be, is just a broken bird for you to take care of. And she just refuses to let him in, and it's heartbreaking to see, her not to sit on that anger and get, that hurt and not be vulnerable, but she doesn't. I get it. And then we have a conversation between Adebayo and Economos about like his job and how he's had anxiety since he was a kid, and like the scene is really telling because you actually get a lot about Economos's personality with very little dialogue, really. He just talks about how he has had anxiety since he was a kid, and he doesn't think that that's going to change now. That like, and she tells him to quit, and he's like, what would I even do? And like, and after he says the anxiety part, there's a moment where Adebayo hugs him and says, I love you. And he says, even though he's smiling, he says, no, you don't. You love alcohol. But that's very telling because somebody with crippling anxiety, that is what they're like. They don't believe that they're capable of being loved. They're anxious. They're always worried. And that's so that one simple comment right there, no, you don't. You love the alcohol, is very telling of John Economos' character and why he pushes people away and whatnot, because he refuses to believe that he's important to the group. And they even have a conversation about how important he is, and no matter how far away he is, that remember that everybody cares about you. Ghost made my shoe fall again. But then Peacemaker, upset by his conversation with Harcourt and drunk as hell. They all did a good job playing drunk people, I think. He got the phone from Peacemaker 2 when they were dissecting the body, and he sends a message to Harcourt. And it doesn't go through because obviously, you don't have interdimensional minutes or on service on your phone. So he drunkenly, in this stupor, goes over to the other dimension to get the text to go through and sits down. And it's just, hey, and then she sends, hey, heartbreak emoji, and then he sits down, and that's the end of the episode. And then the end credit scene is going back to the part where he talked about the Pokemon thing, where Agent Froley was bragging about getting with chicks, and Economos is just drilling him because he knows he's full of it, and asks what they look like, where are they from, what's their names. Thought that was funny. But while Peacemaker is sitting there texting Harcourt 2, we have Augie, his dad, in the background, talking about his son being missing and whatnot. And you're just on the edge of your seat this whole time because of, like, this plot. Like, oh my god, he's drunk. He just entered here. Their son is, like... So much can go wrong so quick. And I wish the trailers didn't show so much. The first trailer for Peacemaker Season 2 ended with him seeing himself. And I think we could all assume what was going to happen. But I don't like that the trailer then, the second one, showed that he does settle into the life of Peacemaker 2's shoes and runs around with them for a bit. Because my one complaint about the season this far would be, even though we're dropping a little bit of the humor for a more sad, a more more emotional tone, because of the fact we know he's going to settle in and pretend to be Peacemaker 2 and whatnot, it kind of just feels like we're sitting around waiting for that, And that's my only issue with it. So far, I think the writing's been fine, but I just feel like we're, waiting for something we already know is going to happen, right? So I'm anxious to get there and get to the aftermath. And this season, so many threats. I mean, because Augie and Keith are gonna figure out that he killed their son at some point. I'm really interested in figuring out if this family is evil or not, because it seems like Augie is a great dad over here. It seems like they have a great relationship. I'm wondering if they're evil or if they're genuinely good people. But they're gonna figure it out eventually. And then you have Frank, you got Rick Flag Sr., head of Argus, coming down on them. I just don't see how Peacemaker comes out of this not in bars or not dead. So I'm very intrigued with where it's going. It's very suspenseful. I do think the trailers gave a little bit too much away. And like I said, that we're just kind of waiting. Oh, and the soundtrack has been kick-ass. I mean, expect nothing less. This is the most James Gunn project. And that's why I keep suggesting the podcast so much, is he's came out and said this is his favorite project that he's worked on. And you can tell, like, it just has so much of him in it, from the music to the writing to... And HBO Max gives you so much freedom, and I've watched Danny McBride talk about the same thing with Vice Principals and the Righteous Gemstones and Eastbound and Down. And you can tell. And so, yeah, the podcast drops right after the episode. I suggest you check it out. It's awesome just getting to see the literal head of DC Studios talk about this and the other cast. And I've watched, like I said, this is their 11th episode, and they've shared such personal human stories. Like, I love the podcast. It's great. I'm not usually a podcast guy, but it's awesome to watch a show and then go and watch the creator and creators of the show talk about it for an hour. So I definitely recommend you check out the podcast. It was a good episode so far. I'm liking the season. The tonal difference is way noticeable, and I'm fine with that tonal difference. I'm fine with less comedy and whatnot, and having a more emotionally driven season. I kind of figured that's what this would be anyway. It's just like I said. I feel like we're just kind of waiting, you know. And but still a good episode nonetheless, and I'm excited because yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Like, oh shit, he did it. And the fact that he was drunk when he decided to go over there and send that text too is like maybe he wouldn't even have done that, but now there's no going back. He sent the text, so and the way he sat down kind of shows that he may not go back. And I feel like he left the door wide open whenever he left. Did he not? That might not matter. But anyway, yeah. So far, I think the season is solid. And there are so many complex things that are being built up. And so many... so much is going to happen this season that I'm excited for. And, yeah, I'm excited to see how the hell Peacemaker gets out of this. But I would suggest stay away from the trailers because it just seems like they're giving away too much. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. And, yeah, I will see you next Friday. I'm going to start doing more videos that are... I'm going to start going back to making more videos that are me vlogging rather than doing a bunch of reviews. But... I am going to do the Twisted Metal Season 2 review sometime this week. I think I'm going to review Twisted Metal Black as a game. I beat it 3 times now. And I'm definitely going to do a movie review that I'm interested now and then. 28 Years Later comes out September 23rd on DVD. Getting together, definitely getting weapons. Fantastic Four. Thunderbolts, I was thinking about doing a review on. I don't know. I'll probably just briefly review it in my next Jeremy Ramblins video. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. I love you, and thank you for watching.